Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday night. I hope you enjoyed your Memorial Weekend break as we are back to finish the round of 12 for the playoff racing action for the ISRC Larry Art Productions Truck Series. Tonight is the second race of the round of 12 as the drivers try to tackle the Charlotte Roval here tonight, as it's our one road course of the playoffs. The ISRC Truck Series always had a road course during the playoff section, and it's always in the round of 12. The field here tonight, though, they've got a sneaking feeling that tonight's race could be critical. We have 12 drivers trying to hunt to take the 8 spots that carry you over to the next round. One driver's already locked in. That's Nick Crawford after his win 2 weeks ago at Kansas. But it's time to see who's moving on to the round of 8. Thank you again for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me here tonight is Zach Hall. And Zach, we got a little bit more time than usual as the drivers will have 10 minutes qualifying. As they're at a road course, the drivers need a little bit extra time. But Zach, hopefully you enjoyed your break. It's time for some great racing action.
Definitely enjoyed that break there, Sam, but I tell you what, glad to be back, man. And here at the Roval, of course, this is going to be quite the challenge for this closeout race of this round. So these drivers here are heading into qualifying right now, just focusing on trying to get some early track position. But I think the one thing that's just going to really trump everything for the night when it comes to what we talk about, and it's going to be probably most likely these Goodyear tires. It really just seems like this track here, with it almost being, you know, a road course in a parking lot, so to say, of the track, it really takes away the rubber from the tires, and even the conditions are on the hotter side here today with the track conditions. So it is definitely going to be quite the battle, I think, when it comes to that. But right now, qualifying is going to be all outright speed, and from what I've seen from practice, we've got about a 10-degree drop in track temp. I think we can see some very quick times here in this session.
Extremely quick times. A lot of drivers have been aiming around the 1 minute and 21 seconds is the window that you need to be around if you're aiming to get a pole time. You need to be a little bit faster than that with the slightly cooler temps. For the field here this evening, they will have 10 minutes to put down their fastest lap. Only 2 laps to do so, but the unique factor, road course racing and oval racing both have the incident limit rule, where if you grab yourself an incident going off track, hitting the wall, going out of control, you will find yourself invalidating your lap time. And Zach, here at the Roval, drivers talk about it's difficult to stay on course.
It is. It very much is. There's a couple places you can get that off track. It's luckily pretty easy to keep it on track here, as you see Danny Cochran there go wide off the exit of 3. That's actually not an off track. That is fair game here in iRacing and even what they use in real life. But where you'll really see the issue is mostly in that final chicane of the track. A lot of people will try to use the AstroTurf on the left side tires to find that little bit of extra turn-in room, so to say, for the corner, and that can really play a factor. Sometimes you get a little too far to the left to get that off track that invalidates that lap. Then also, all it takes is just tapping one of these walls. I mean, this place has walls everywhere. It is a oval racetrack with a road course in it. So as you can see, we got safer barriers all around here. Even in the infield, there's the barriers. You touch those, the lap's gone. So it just shows you how quickly things can fade away. But this lap here from Danny looking very smooth. We'll see what he can do in this final chicane, because this is where that off track moves.
Mighty stout is this 2 machine, but out off the exit of the oval turn 4 down to that final chicane, you see that AstroTurf. The drivers might be using a little bit more, but over the rumble strips, the 2 crosses the line. Gonna be one of our first times to be across is Danny Cochran. It is a 1 minute 21 second .516 lap time for lap 1. Not a bad start for these drivers, but one of the main drivers to watch out for is going to be Vincent Sora in the 15, a very good road course driver. But Zach, first lap invalidated, and it would have been the pole.
That's exactly what I was about to say. He had that 1:21.285. but it does not count, folks. He has that invalidated. And most likely, again, it came in that final chicane. So he's going to have to put something together here. As now Cedric Hunter jumps to the board in a 2076. I mean, where did that come from?
It was a 20.762 for Cedric Hunter, and Nick Crawford was right behind him as well with a 20.938. These drivers are finding some wicked speed here for qualifying, and Zach talked about the fact that track temp cooled off 10 degrees from where practice was, and somehow it gave these drivers more than just a little bit of extra speed. It almost gave them a full second of speed, it looked like, for the 7.
That it did. That was, I mean, I thought we were going to see a 120, you know, but when I started seeing the other times come through, I was like, maybe the track didn't pick up as much speed as what I was assuming. So, man, what a lap from Cedric Hunter. It looks like Vincent Sor will get his second lap in, but that's only going to place, I think, Vincent Sor in the 6th position. So, possibly the favorite when it comes to road courses coming into tonight. He is going to be starting well deep in the field, but I look at someone like a Nick Crawford, who's right now 2nd. Yeah, he's locked in, but he has the ability to take risks that these other drivers don't. That 74 could be a deadly option tonight.
Points are going to be extremely close. We'll take a closer look at them after qualifying, but one of the drivers that came into this playoffs and really into the season, showed up late, was Jarrett Talmadge with his teammate of Thomas Green. Green had a very rough regular season, while Jarrett Talmadge probably had one of his best ever seasons in the ISRC Lyra Productions Truck Series, and this 10 has been surprising me like crazy and has an opportunity to make his first ever round of 8 appearance. And Zach, I think Jarrett Talmadge, with the way that we've been seeing him during practice, the way that point situation's looking, this 10 is looking poised to make it to the round of 8.
He very well is, Sam. I tell you, if he gets there, he's going to be having a potential chance to go get himself into that final 4. But let's see here, come to the final chicane. This is going to be critical for him. Where does he going to start for tonight's race? Comes through there, doesn't get into the wall, and it looks like it's going to be a 121.561. So looks like it's going to place him right now 7th on the board. And I'll tell you who's really done a great job, and somebody who needed this, it is the 9 of Justin Campbell. Huge qualifying run for him.
Justin Campbell going to be one of those drivers outside of our top 8 entering this evening. Tyler Dangler going to be finishing off his 2nd lap. First lap was invalidated. 2nd lap's good enough for 11th place. Justin Campbell going to be a driver who's going to be trying to make his march to sneak his way into the top 8. Another driver is going to be right behind him in 4th currently on the board. That's Christopher Norris, a driver that's already finished his qualifying last, but just getting a little bit extra time on course. Joshua Kanata, who Zach, he's the bubble driver, 8th in points entering tonight, but he has the biggest fear, and honestly, not a lot of confidence is looming for the 16 that he's going to move on to the next round, as he was a previous Final 4 contender last season.
That he was, and that would be such an upset for him. And, you know, seems to be struggling a little bit. I can just even see there coming back onto the oval. And again, I think this is good usage of his time here, continuing the run laps while you have this longer session in qualifying. No reason not to if you're not feeling confident and well up the speed yet. So maybe over this 45 lap distance he can find that comfort that he needs, and others have the mistakes where he doesn't. But yeah, when it comes to speed, his speed is on the more of the bleak side when it comes to moving on to the next round, especially when he sees the 9 and that 38 both up in 3rd and 4th. That's got to make Kanata very worried.
The big thing though, I was talking with Kanata a lot getting prepared for this race today. In the 16, the biggest thing that I was noticing from all those practice sessions, very consistent on lap times. I think that's one thing he's going to try to carry over here tonight. Stay consistent, minimize the mistakes, and hope that maybe someone else is going to have a mistake that enables the 16 to move on to the next round. But as we have 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in qualifying, this is perfect time for us to say thank you to the major sponsors that help out here at the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series. They've been helping out all season long. I want to say thank you to our title sponsor of Lariat Art Productions. If you'd like to get some entertainment throughout the day on your phone, on Instagram, or if you'd like to go on YouTube and enjoy some hilariously great video content, go on over to Lariat Productions for comedy, variety YouTube videos, and more. Get your entertainment from Lariat Productions. Also want to say thank you to Hot Lap Threads. They are a grid sponsor for the whole season. Hot Lap Threads, racing lifestyle tees, hoodies, hats, and more. Hot Lap Threads offers racing lifestyle apparel perfect for race day. Fuel up your passion for racing with apparel that looks just as slick as the cars do on track. Hot Lap Threads. Go check them out today at hotlapthreads.com. And finally, want to say thank you to our stage sponsor, who also has been a primary sponsor of the ISRC since the beginning, and that's Morecast. Morecast, head on over on Instagram and on YouTube at Morecast to check out the variety of different NASCAR content, including diecast, memes, iRacing, NASCAR discussions, and more. Head on over again at Morecast on Instagram and YouTube. Got a minute left in qualifying. Zach, just based off of practice and qualifying, what have you noticed so far, and who are the big drivers of note that you're circling up that we really have to watch out for?
I think one of the big things we got to watch for, first off and foremost, is Vincent Soro starting 8th. That's going to be fun to watch. Know the speed he has. I think his concern will be trying to conserve those tires to make it up to his teammate at Cedric Hunter, who, I mean, that one threw me off my chair almost. I really expected to see a 120 with the temperatures we've seen, but man, with a 120.76 and from Cedric Hunter, even that definitely, it's definitely impressive to see.
It certainly is. Well, the admins decided, okay, no one else is planning on racing for some extra laps. We will advance to our warm-up, so the drivers have 5 minutes to see where their pit stalls are for the race and get any last little practice needed before we get ready for our 45 laps here tonight at the Roval. This also gives us a perfect moment to take a look at the points here tonight. This is going to be the end of the round of 12. 8 drivers moved on and locked in with the most points and with the win. Nick Crawford, top of the board. He is safe. Everyone else still open to see where they're going to be running. But currently the battle that we're watching out for is the battle for 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. That's Cody Reed, Joshua Kanata, Christopher Norris, Justin Campbell. Cutoff line is between Campbell and Norris. And Zach also all the way down in 12th, Ollie Fonseca after a poor showing at Kansas. He's got a lot of work if he wants to find a way into the next round.
Some big names on the outside looking in for sure. I mean, even Final Four, past contenders. So that is crazy to see. Even got a Final Four contender on the cut line too. So it is really wide open here for anybody to get in. Really, I think Campbell and Norris are the ones we got to watch for sure, with them being such a good qualifying spots. But Kanata, you never know. He could just pull off enough just to squeak his way through.
It's been a point of emphasis the last 2 seasons for Joshua Kanata. 2 seasons ago, a road course ruined his chances of moving on from the round of 16 to the round of 12. Last season, he found the clutch factor to move on and have a chance to fight for a championship. Tonight, could it be the end of his playoff push for season 6? As we move away from our point standings, we take a look at the rest of the season. It's crazy to say, but we are coming to the end of season 6 as we have tonight at Charlotte. Next round is round of 8 as we head to Legacy, Texas, Iowa, and then the championship race where our final 4 will race at Homestead. And Zach, these final 3 races, we were just talking about it. iRacing has some big changes that are going to shake up the end of this season massively for anyone that's left in the playoffs after tonight.
This is the thing that has me most excited for sure. I mean, not only do we have 3 amazing tracks to go to after tonight for the Roval to decide our championship for, this is going to be kind of a whole new playing field, so to say. I mean, huge, massive updates and overhauls when it comes to this this Truck Series truck. It is going to be, I think, fun to see how and who evolves the quickest with it. And with Legacy, Texas being the first track, I think that's even going to throw them off a little bit, because that is a completely different track than we normally see. So I'm excited.
We are so excited for it, and hopefully you're excited as well, as the season is coming to a conclusion tonight. Again, critical to see who's moving on to the next round, as we have 2 minutes left in warm-ups. This is our usual time for our pick'ems. Who do we think are the drivers to watch out for a chance to win, or just a driver to watch out for? I'm going to start out first. I'm going with the easy pick that I thought before qualifying started. I chose Vincent Sora to be my driver of choice. I thought he was going to have a great qualifying run, be a threat up front, but this looks to be maybe an underdog pick, as Vinny's got a lot of work to get through this field, but he's one of the stars of road course racing. Out of the 4 road courses that he's ran in his career, he's won 3 of them, so watch out for the 15 of Vincent Sora.
I like that pick. He's definitely got some work to do, but we know how good he is. But I'll tell you what, my pick was tough. I went with multiple different people. I had the pole setter at one point, but I had to go Christopher Norris. I watched the kid practice the last few nights, and he's had some impressive pace, guys. I really think watch out for him on the long run. That's where his strong suit's been. With him starting fourth, if he can keep that nose clean, keep some track position, I think the 38 will be tough to beat.
And our last pick going to be our producer running in the background, Robert Moyer Jr., and he's going with Jarrett Talmadge. And Talmadge, again, sneaky speed this 10's had. There's been rumors that he could be the driver to watch out for here tonight, and that's not a bad pick at all. And those are going to be our three pick'ems: Vince Sora, Christopher Norris, and Jarrett Talmadge. And a little bit of a throw a nugget out there. Cedric Hunter also has been the big name that everyone's been clamoring about of the driver to watch out for here tonight. And Zach, I mean, he's already proven it. He is the driver now. I don't think either one of us saw pole was in the wings for him, but there he is starting up front here tonight.
Yeah, very, very close to Cedric. And, just talking to him throughout the week, I mean, we knew, me and him kind of were just saying, man, you got a shot at this with the pace you have, especially when it comes to the race pace. But for him to qualify on pole, Sam, it's a scary sight. I do know he's actually a little bit under the weather tonight. So sometimes, people say, man, I'm under the weather and I'm not going to be doing too great tonight. Sometimes that brings out the best in us. We've seen some performances in history that have shown that just because you're sick doesn't mean you can't perform at that top level. I mean, that with that time he's shown, it's going to be quite the show I think we got ahead of us.
I mean, everyone brings up the iconic Jordan flu game. Could be tonight. Be a flu race for Cedric as he, again, trying his best here this evening. 45 laps is going to be the race. Stage break at the end of lap 50 with no full course yellow unless there is a full blockage of the track. Then the yellow will be thrown. No fast repair and 4 extra sets in pit road to work with. As we take a look at our starting grid here tonight, taking the pole for your hot lap threads grid, it's the 7 of Cedric Hunter. Second, we give that award to Nick Crawford. Justin Campbell going to be starting in 3rd place. Christopher Norris 4th. Danny Cochran 5th. 6th, we find Cody Reed. 7th is Jarrett Talmadge. Vincent Sora starting deep in the field in 8th. 9th is Ali Fonseca. And finishing out our top 10, we find John Forbes in the 11 machine.
Starting in the 11th position, it's going to be the 19 of Tyler Dingler. Alongside him in 12th, it's going to be the 16 of Kanana trying to fight for that final 8th position in the points. 13th is going to go to the 3 of Anthony Gaudio, with 14th going to the 34 of Ryan Ferraro. 15th, another playoff contender of Dakota Muniz back here. Going to have to make up some ground in 15th position. 16th is going to go to Malik Kuntz. 17th is going to be GT Arzari. And rounding out our field with our 18 trucks is going to be Martin Morales, as our last 3 trucks did not take time.
Didn't take time, but 18 drivers. There are still enough points that everyone that is not fully locked in with Nick Crawford is still mathematically possible to make it in or be eliminated. So you have to still make sure you have a decent race here tonight, even for the likes of John Forbes. Comes in tonight 2nd in points with an 18-point buffer. Cedric Hunter's got a 17-point buffer. But then it's into the question mark of Vincent Sora. He's only got an 8-point buffer over Christopher Norris. Jarrett Talmadge has a 6-point buffer. Danny Cochran, 5 points over. Cody Reed, 4 points over the cut line. Joshua Kanata, just 2 points over Christopher Norris. Well, Norris is 2 points off of that number, but Justin Campbell's 4 points off. Dakota Muniz, 7 points off. And Ali Fonseca, 10 points out. Ali is the biggest hole to dig out of, and he's only going to be starting just inside our top 10, but he needs bonus points, which are going to be critical for these drivers. The ways that you can get bonus points here tonight: you get 1 bonus point for leading a lap, 1 bonus point if you have 0 incident points, 3 bonus points for leading the most laps, and then a wide margin of either 10 down to possibly of 1 bonus point if you finish inside of the top 10 at our stage break, which again at the end of lap 15. Zach, this is one of the tougher tracks to try to get stage points and lead a lap potentially for drivers. But if you are the likes of Ali Fonseca, Dakota Muniz, Justin Campbell, Christopher Norris, what do you think their mindset has to be to try to set up for a chance to move on to the next round?
I think first and foremost, it has to be stage points. That's kind of, you got to grab those. So they need to focus on first getting their race in a stage point position at that lap, in the position of points. So it's got to be, I think, their first focus, because those are the most easily, readily available points. Then if you need to go search for some more bonus points, you can always play some strategy, but sometimes that can lead to a worse finish in the race. So you got to weigh those options. Just, 1 bonus point, but if you give up 2 positions on the track, that's not worth it. So you got to be able to crew chief yourself from the race truck, plan all this out. It makes things very personally pretty difficult, especially when you're driving around, this place here. It is quite the task, so to say, when you're driving around this road course of 12 turns. It's one of the most difficult and most technical, and very easily able to wreck out right at the beginning of this race. So that's the big thing that they got to keep their eyes on, is getting stage points, but also don't take yourself out here on lap 1 through 5, because that is the easiest time to do it when everybody's stacked up. Things happen quickly. You don't want to be involved in anything.
Yeah, and you said it. For the first 5 laps, don't want to get caught up early, but that could be the toughest part of this track, especially as the laps tick away. Saw tire wear be a very big factor just 3 laps into a run. So drivers got to make sure if they're running next to someone, you're giving each other respect. But if you need to move forward, be willing to make some bold moves to take these positions as quickly and as efficiently as possible, because you don't want to lose much ground to the driver in front of you, because again, there is a chance of no yellows being thrown. There will not be a yellow thrown at the stage break. The only time these drivers can get a yellow flag is if there is a gridlock incident, and the only time we're going to most likely see that is in this first handful of corners. So everyone knows these first couple of laps could be hectic, but it's all coming down to this. Your playoff round 12. Front row, Cedric Hunter, Nick Crawford, former teammates, now rivals, ready to see who could take the win here tonight. Could Nick Crawford sweep the round of 12? Will Cedric Hunter or someone else find themselves with a lock-in win? It's your ISRC Alaria Productions Truck Series Season 6 playoff action. And we are happy to have you back with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting on Monday night. The ISRC 165 here at the Roval, about to get underway. Green flag is out as they're in the middle of the chicane, and they're already getting a little bit of wheel spin, but it's Nick Crawford on the outside who gets the better launch. He'll send it down in turn number 1, side by side with Cedric Hunter. Hunter's trying to gas it back up, but Crawford with the better spacing. They stay side by side, roaring down these first handful of corners, down into turn number 3, and Zach, they're still all side by side.
Great racing. To keep it side by side all the way through that section like that, everybody really heads up maneuver, and it's going to be Crawford here clearing that 7, and it was wheel spin to start the run, but the 7 dives back to the outside here. He's fighting strong. He knows how valuable clean air could be.
You don't want to get stuck in line and possibly lose even more positions, but once again, with the bobbing and weaving side by side, Cedric Hunter finally gets the better positioning as they get onto the racing surface. They're done with the infield, onto the oval, and it's the 7 of Cedric Hunter who's trying to pull away from Nick Crawford. Didn't get the launch that the 74 was wanting, had to back off because of the outside wall, and Cedric Hunter, who had to work for it, finally is in that true lead position as they hit the chicane at the bus stop on the back stretch. Everyone trying to hit their marks. A very tough corner that these drivers are trying to slow down to before they get back onto the oval. Through oval turns 3 and 4. Get ready for the last chicane, and lap 1 almost done for Cedric Hunter. And what a fighting position, and what a crucial pass that Hunter had to make there. Zach, lap 1, give it to the 7.
And you don't want to give it up, especially to someone like Nicholas Crawford, who we know he has been the guy to beat when it comes to long runs. When he gets out in that clean air, he kind of just sets sail and manages his tires better than anybody. So I think that was super crucial for the 7. But one thing he has to think about here now, yeah, I made that pass. He probably had to use a little bit of tire heat build up to get that done. He needs to now focus on being smooth and content out front, because he's got his work cut out for him. He's got some of the best road course racers here in ISRC all stacked up, and they're stacking up more because here comes Vincent Sora. He's already looking to try to get back into the top 4 after starting 8th.
From 8th to 5th, the 15 is here, and recognizing his strong suit's going to be in the short run as Vincent Sora trying to get by Justin Campbell, and Campbell trying to just hold on for these positions. Again, Justin Campbell enters tonight 10th in points, and then a pass for 2nd is made as well, with Christopher Norris up to 2nd place. But for Justin Campbell, again, he needs to make sure he stays ahead of Cody Reed and Joshua Kanata. Those are your big drivers to stay in front, or try to figure out a way to run down Christopher Norris and become that first driver that's just outside of the bubble line.
It'll be a critical thing to watch all night here. But look at Cochran here in the 2 machine. Kind of a loss here for his start. He fell back to the 7th position after starting 5th. He's got to feel a little bit left out with that. But at the end of the day, Cochran doesn't have to do too much crazy. I think he needs to just be smart more than anything when it comes to his points position. I think that's where you're going to see a lot of from the 2.
Yeah, that's a 5-point buffer over Christopher Norris. And Norris' main factor, the driver he's looking out for, is where is Joshua Kanata, who looms back in 11th. So Danny Cochran's in a comfortable place. Jared Talmadge is in a comfortable position. Ali Fonseca, though, in the 24 behind these two drivers, he is in a I need to go moment. At 24, needs massive stage points. Again, was down 10 points to Joshua Kanata and needs to get every little bit of stage points possible at the end of lap 15 as Cedric Hunter still leads the way. But Zach, I mean, Ollie already impressing me. He's inside of the top 10, which when I was talking to him, he said top 10 finish is where he feels the most comfortable, but stage points is going to be the hardest part for him.
That it is. I think right here, he just needs to focus on being smooth because we talked about it. The lap 3 to 5 areas where these tires really start to really show their age, and it only continues to get worse as the run goes on, and it really starts to show it here in this back straightaway chicane. You just can't get the truck woed up. You start wheel hopping into the corner, and it just feels like the rear end is going to pass you every time you turn into the corner. It's really a scary feeling to deal with. But, you know, if you're Ollie here, you need to be smart, methodical, because some of these guys up ahead, you could make the mistakes that allow you to go grab those critical stage points that you need to move yourself on.
Need every point possible at the end of this race as drivers are fighting and clawing to move forward. We still stay on board with Ali Fonseca trying to catch up to Jared Talmadge, but got to give kudos and flowers to the drivers that have made it this far into the playoffs. Dakota Moniz struggling currently back in 14th place. His ultimate goal, again, just stay on course, but he was down 7 points entering tonight. We'll see if the 5 can get any further up. Other drivers that are struggling right now, Joshua Kanata in 11th. Surprisingly, luckily John Forbes has got a good buffer of points to work with, but John Forbes is struggling, and oh no, playoff contender, losing positions fast. Ollie Fonseca losing positions very quickly for himself. He's now down to 13th place after a spin trying to make the pass on Jared Talmadge.
A little deep and into the back bumper of Talmadge he was, and this is one thing that we've seen here with iRacing lately, especially with the physics. You get in the back of a driver, a lot of times now, it's the driver that's behind that gets spun around, especially. So it seems like it really just drops the nose of these trucks and spins them around. So we'll get a little replay here on this as they head down into this right-hander here. You're going to see Ollie Fonseca tucked all up underneath him. He gets into that back bumper of Fonseca, or the 10 of Talmadge, and it just spins him right around, and Talmadge just goes on his merry way.
And sees all those positions just inking away from the 24 and from battling for 8th place, now outside of the top 10, and those critical bonus points at the stage breaker gone. Anthony Gaudio gets out of the way quickly as he recognizes, hey, this is not my fight to be a part of, but this has enabled Joshua Kanata in the 16 to now be in a stage point position as he's now trying to run down and get by John Forbes in the 11. And again, John Forbes, he has an 18-point buffer, so just grabbing 1 to 2 stage bonus points could almost lock in the 11 machine. Well, Kanata on the other side, he's seeing multiple of his contenders a lot further up ahead and maybe putting a big scare on the 16.
It's got to put a worry on him for sure. And, you know, for him, it's hard because when you're at a track like this, it's hard to just go reach out there and find more pace. It's just not readily available to you. And look, here comes a dive from the 15 of Vince Sora. That was from pretty far back, and he's going to dive it in there, push the 74 across the curb. They're going to race side by side, and this is going to go close to contact here.
Almost contact. Crawford backs out. It gives Justin Campbell, though, the momentum as the 9 will get by Nick Crawford, as Crawford not happy about the way that went down, but the 9 machine, Justin Campbell, say thank you very much. I'll move up to 4th and now set my sights to maybe attack Vincent Sora, because with how fast Sora's been pushing, who knows what those tires are going to look like in the next 4 to 5 laps.
Sora better think that that 74 gets back to him, it will be repaid. That is definitely was an optimistic dive down the inside from him, wasn't alongside, kind of outbroke him, and then released the brake and kind of used the 74 as his own brake in the center of the chicane. So if I'm Nick Crawford, I'm now focused on one thing, and it's making sure the 15 doesn't have a good race, because I'm locked in. I have no worries. You made a bad enemy right here.
Absolutely. And Dowser right on board 74. Teammate of Nick Crawford is just behind him, and Cody Reed, his driver's just grazing the outside wall. That wall is going to be brutalized as the tire wear falls away, but the driver of the 24 right behind Nick Crawford, that's a driver of note. Cody Reed, he comes into this race 7th in points, just a 4-point buffer over Christopher Norris coming into this race. It's not the most safest of point standings to work with, but the 25 obviously knows every position would be amazing to have, so he can kind of minimize that gap of points that he's going to be losing with how well Christopher Norris and Justin Campbell are running right now.
That it is. This definitely got to try to minimize those losses, and right now Reed definitely trying to close into his teammates back. Remember, and from what I'm seeing from Cody, he started off this practice session tonight struggling. It was not looking great, but his road course prowess is starting to show. He's starting to find his rhythm, and he's right here in the mix already early in the going of this race.
Trying to stay at least attached to these front runners is Cody Reed, as our top going to be 7 drivers all within 5 seconds of one another. And the most surprising thing is got to be our fact that our top 3 to 7 position all still attached very closely, but the top 2, they've gapped away from the rest of the field. And Zach, your pick, Christopher Norris, is slowly finding, in the infield at least, a little bit of extra speed than Cedric Hunter. Hunter seems to be falling away a little bit on this long run, as we've been 7 laps in. Those first 5 laps dominated by the 7 who pulled out to such a massive gap, but Christopher Norris starting to reel in that lead.
This is what I've seen. I mean, I got a little bit of insider trading info, I guess, this weekend. I got to see a little bit of the inside of what this 38 had, and what he really impressed me more than anything is his drive off, and it just showed again there. I mean, he gained about a couple tenths right here off the exit of the final chicane. I think, if anything, Christopher Norris is going to put this 7 under pressure, and whoever has to race for the win is going to put under pressure, because his longer pace is undoubtable.
It certainly is. The 7 continues to try to stay ahead of Christopher Norris. That last go round, just a difference of 0.06 of a second advantage of the 38 of Christopher Norris, as the battling for 4th place is back underway. Justin Campbell still being hounded by Nick Crawford in the 74, as Nick Crawford running a special scheme for this month, as Pride Month. And we have showing off the rainbows out on course, as drivers continue to fight for every position up front. And for Justin Campbell, almost felt like deja vu with how close that 74 was on the back bumper through the infield.
That it was. That was very, very close there between those two. And Nick Crawford wants to get around Campbell. He doesn't want to let that 15 scamper away and get away from him. So he's got to focus now. How can I set up this 9, who has been, I must say, so impressive. Justin Campbell here tonight is showing pace that we have not seen from him on a road course, and that is amazing to see here, as he's doing an excellent job there defending that 74 who was trying to take that look to the inside.
As we are halfway through the stage, currently it is still Cedric Hunter leading the charge. But yeah, I mean, Justin Campbell, I think that was the talking point for most of last week during the off week and into this race, which was, what type of Justin Campbell were we going to see? He's a part of that developmental driver program in the real life Rev Racing team that Oli Fonseca works with. And it's been a joy to see some of the developmental drivers actually come in and race with the ISRC Truck Series. We had earlier in the season LeVar Scott joining in and racing with the drivers, but seeing what Justin Campbell brings each and every week, that aggression at times, it's always fun to watch, but also getting to see his growth in other places running in this league. Other drivers that we saw kind of giving up a little bit of space. Anthony Gaudio falling back to 13th position for the 3 machine. That's where he qualified. He was able to bounce out a couple of positions, but gave him up just as quickly. But behind the 3 is a driver that at this moment, it's got to be kind of heartbreaking that Dakota Moniz had to be in a round that was so difficult for the 5. This just wasn't, it just seemed like it was unfair when you look at the way Dakota got into this round and the races that were here. This 5 was not set up for success, Zach. I think if we had maybe 2.5 miles, maybe 1.5 miles in a short track, Dakota would have had a better shot. But having a road course really hurts this 5 machine.
It does, and it's unfortunate to see, but, you know, Dakota's always consistently there, and sometimes, you know, road courses, it plays out where being consistently there can work out for you, but tonight it's going to be a tough task for him for sure, because not getting stage points more than likely, and, you know, looking like a lot of his competitors who needs to beat are going to be farther up the field. It's definitely going to make things very interesting.
As these laps continue to tick away, 6 laps to go before the stage is over. Again, stage break at the end of lap 15. Top 10 drivers get stage bonus points. Starting off with the winner gets 10 bonus points, second gets 9, third gets 8, and it continues to dwindle down until we get to 10th place where they get 1 bonus point. But we move to the second place because Vincent Sora is here, and the weather is cooled off to enable the 15 to have a chance to put the pressure on this 38, and it's just looking like Vincent Sora's on the charge, and he is the fastest driver on track, and it's not even close. He's almost a full second faster than our leader of Cedric Hunter that last lap.
He is showing some incredible pace. I mean, he found almost 2-3 tenths on his lap even previous to that. So it just shows you that he's keeping up that pace. Now, how tough it's going to be around Christopher Norris is going to be the key thing for him here. He's got to set up this 38 so he can try to go run down his teammate. But Christopher Norris with a good drive out of the chicane there is going to make it a little bit tougher on this 15, who, in my opinion, it looks like where he's getting a lot of time is in the infield. So it's going to be kind of in his ballpark now. How can he set up these passes and get it going, because he is fast in a spot that it is tough to pass.
Seeing the drivers really use that rumble strip, trying to catch up to one another. Also have a report. We started out with 18 drivers on track. One have called it a night. That is Malik Kuntz in the 98 machine. Just was not able to carry over great speed here tonight and was kind of getting out of sorts. And the 98 decided, you know what, we're just going to park it, call it a night. We hope to see Malik next week for Legacy Texas as Vincent Sora putting the pressure right on the back bumper of the 38 machine of Christopher Norris. And you think back to season 1, Zach, I don't think we could have ever imagined that we'd be seeing a fight of Christopher Norris in a hard-fought battle trying to defend over the 15 for position. And this is something that it's been a pleasure to watch the growth of other drivers as Vinny came back after being away since season 1.
I think he'll take a chance here. It looks like he lost a little drive off there with a little bit of a wheel spin on the exit, but wouldn't be surprised if Vinny, being optimistic, he would dive it down the inside here, but just not close enough. Going to try to continue to put pressure on this 38, who this lap time by is closed in a little bit even to Cedric Hunter. So the pressure from the 15 here has made the 38 have to pick up his pace. This is going to make the battle that much even stronger here. I think what this 15 is showing, though, is kind of ominous, because, man, that 120.1 there that late in the run is looking strong.
It is looking very strong, and as this fight continues on, other fights that just concluded was the battle for 10th place. Ali Fonseca is in that 10th place position as Vincent Sora slices down into turn number 1, has the better apex and run off the corner in the 15 into the lead position as Christopher Norris looks like he's starting to lose a little bit of extra grip, and that is a problem because we're coming down to the end of this stage in just a few laps, and Norris's little bit of a break is now gone. He's got trouble with Justin Campbell, Nick Crawford closing in quickly on that 38 machine.
I mean, our top 5 right now separated by 2.5 seconds, so this is showing what everybody's brought here to the table. But Vincent Sora looks in another class in the infield. His pace into the infield is good. One thing I've seen from Cedric Hunter, it looks like he gets off a 7 here back onto the oval pretty well. So that will make the 7 tough to pass. With Vincent Sora's pace in the infield, he's made passes through there, so that is going to make him very tough to hold back.
Yeah, it's more of you close in on that turn 1 and then you set up for the future passes as Nick Crawford is going to be seen the rear bumper of the 9 once again through the bus stop. And Zach, I mean, I feel like you'd have the best understanding of this with kind of trying to practice, get used to this vehicle to give us the insight. But when you're going through the bus stop that close to someone in front of you, I mean, it just seems like an impossible task at times not to just run into the driver in front of you.
It's very difficult because you're almost jumping the curbs. You kind of launch over top of them, and that makes things, I would say, very interesting to say the least, because some people do it at different rates. And if you come to contact while you're in the air, you can't stop. So it is definitely a scary feature for sure of this track. It's somewhere that you gotta be comfortable to try to be close to somebody, because if you want to make a pass heading into that next chicane, you got to be close enough coming out of that chicane. So it's very, very critical. And I can tell you where Vince Sora's beating everybody. It's in them really through turn 4 and 5 and 6. He is so much faster through there, and that has really allowed him to close the gap right now back to Cedric Hunter.
See the battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th, but also the battle for the lead is now less than a second. This is the closest Cedric Hunter has had competition next to him since lap 1. Cedric Hunter now in a very defensive mood. How do you want to fight for this position? Because both drivers are in a spot where bonus points would be nice. For Cedric Hunter, if with getting these bonus points would automatically clinch a spot into the next round. For Vincent Sora, he gets these major bonus points, his woes of worrying about the rest of this race kind of fade away as well. And you just always want to max out at your stage bonus points as they cross the line. It's going to be 2 laps to go before the stage is done, but see them bouncing off that turtle. They are driving on 3 tires, almost just 2 off the exit of that final chicane.
This is going to get very interesting. Cedric Hunter is, what I would say, the rear tires are pretty much faded for him. Every time he breaks into that final chicane, he's fighting the turn in. If he can't turn the truck in there, you don't make the corner. And that's what really happened to him last time, to really lose a lot of that gap. But he did a good job of solidifying himself on that front straightaway chicane to kind of open up the gap again. But right there, look at where Vincent just is able to roll so much speed through that corner. And right here also is where you got to try to set someone up. But Cedric Hunter has been pretty decent when it comes to the exit right here off the turn.
Big thing is that you can try to stop that driver. They get right on your back bumper at the apex of that corner. It can really set up to hurt the driver behind. It would do a little bit of a slower maybe break in the corner, check him up. But right now down into the bus stop on the back stretch, Cedric Hunter is trying his best, but Vincent Sora continues to loom right on that back bumper off the exit into the oval turn 3. Getting ready for the last chicane. Zach pointed it out. Watch out for how Cedric's got to set up for this corner, because Vincent Sora is about to be hitting a critical point as we are now into the white flag of this stage. It's Cedric Hunter. He got a good launch off the exit. Vinny actually got a bit worse launch than we've seen in a while, but here we go. It's half a second difference into turn number 1.
Now the question be, can Cedric calm the nerves? When someone runs you down like this, you have the lead, your heart starts to beat a little faster. Your reactions start to get a little bit more shaky, and everything in your body starts to kind of remind you that, man, I'm not just clean sailing out front. I got a challenge on my hands. And right now, this 15 has done a good job to close the gap down. Right here again is his best spot on the track. But if Cedric Hunter can just get great exits and not allow him to get to the inside right here, he should have the defense. His chicanes are good enough to hold back this 15 for the time being.
Trying their best at this moment. It's still a little bit under a half a second distance, even through the oval and getting onto the back stretch. Cedric Hunter keeping the pace, hitting his marks, and has been in the best position so far. Again, this is more so just to get your stage bonus points. This is not the end of the race, and there will not be a full course yellow. These drivers will continue to race on. We've been told this race looks to be a one-stop pit stop, and for Cedric Hunter, he's just looking to get these bonus points and down off the exit of the oval turn 4 into the final chicane. Cedric Hunter hits his marks, goes over one rumble strip, over the final turtle, and stage will go to Cedric Hunter in the 7 machine. Congratulations for Cedric Hunter for becoming our Morecast stage winner. As the rest of the field scatters their way through, you can see where the bonus points are at, and not a lot of change is expected, as 10th place in points gonna go to Ollie Fonseca, and that is a worst case scenario for Joshua Kanata, who is gonna finish this stage in 11th place. Zach, that hurts for Kanata, and honestly, looking at drivers that are in a poor situation, Dakota Moniz, Joshua Kanata, Ollie Fonseca, they don't look to be good to be moving on, but the fight for the win is right on for right now, just on lap 16, as they're right on top of one another. Hunter tries to get the better exit, but Vincent, that's his best run right on the back bumper so far that we've seen in the last couple of laps.
Him getting that close didn't allow the 7 to turn into the corner where he wanted, and that really upset his entry. But here, I'm only looking for the dive for the 15, but oh, looks like a second of net code there, or a connection, as he's going to blink out, and that could have been very bad if that happens in the braking zone side by side. So luckily they weren't side by side there, but now again, Cedric Hunter with a decent exit off that back straightaway chicane. That's where he's been able to defend well. It's just really been his exits out of that chicane. Vincent Sora just is not able to be close enough here to have a chance down to 1.
Not at all, but Vinny's got to be careful. He is bouncing off of that turtle very bad for himself, so much that he made our producer scream in my ear with that jump for himself, as Hunter just had a huge run. Vinny's scary jump, but he's still there. Zach fighting away.
That he is. He's using every bit of the curb, and like you said, you gotta be a little careful though, because you use too much
trouble.
of that curb.
Issue for Ollie Fonseca and Tyler Dangler. They both had collisions to where they're both require damage. Ollie is forced to pit road.
Oh no, that's terrible to see for Ollie Fonseca there. And didn't even realize what happened to him after going back and looking. So, yeah, interesting to see. It looks like he's got some damage on the right side of that truck, so maybe some suspension damage from that. But the battle for the lead continues on with these guys having their issues, man. And this is going to really shake up here Ollie Fonseca's chance to go on here, as it looks like we'll get to see on this replay what happened to Ollie.
Believe it might have been a little bit further than this. It was on the way coming onto the oval where he made the contact to the wall just before turn 7. We're going to be seeing it here. Just was trying to march his way out, smashes the wall, and he gets required tolling damage for the 24 there.
That is huge. And yeah, like you said, that's going to be required. That's suspension damage to that truck, and that's going to be a ton of work to be done for him. But man, oh man, this is not stop the whole battle up front. We're still within 2.2 seconds our top 5 are. It's really impressive to see it. Now even Cody Reed, he's dropping back to Danny Cochran, who now has Jarrett Talmadge behind him. So 2 different groups here battling it up.
And it is fun watching here at the Roval. So much action to show, but sadly we only have one camera to give you all this action, as Danny Cochran has been fighting to hold back Jarrett Talmadge. But luckily for them, Cody Reed's been falling back to their clutches. This 25 has been trying to keep up with our top 5, but just has not been able to do so. And now Danny Cochran, Jarrett Talmadge, they're trying to scoot their way forward. And for Cody Reed, he really can't afford to be losing more time, because he could be in a position to where if he loses too much ground, the 25 could be the driver bounce out, allowing Christopher Norris and Justin Campbell to be going for a chance to move on to the next round.
Speaking of those 2, they're battling for position now, going down to the chicane. Christopher Norris almost getting a little bit of a shot, actually, from the 9, who has the 74. Nick Crawford stacked up too. So it just shows you we have got battles going on all over this racetrack for points.
And Ollie Fonseca also challenging Vincent Sora in second place after getting his repairs done and getting back out on track with fresh rubber. So this is giving different little bit of battles that with the heavy pressure our leaders are dealing with, it's allowing the fight of Campbell, Norris, and Crawford to get closer and closer to the mix of our leaders, where again, one mistake could hurt these drivers. And Zach, we've seen this in the past. I think back to 2-3 seasons ago when they were running at the Daytona road course, the turtles at that track, drivers actually went over it, heavily damaged the underneath of these trucks. That's another thing you're worried about with how much these turtles are being used to get through the corners.
That they are. I mean, Vincent Sora, I mean, that final chicane, he is literally all over, just completely hopping those curves. Now he's going to see Nick Crawford. This is his best chance. And while this is going on, Vince Sora's diving to the inside of Cedric Hunter for the lead up front. We're going to have 2 separate battles going on, but it looks like this 15, this is going to be his best opportunity, but the 7 is going to close the door with the better exit off the top side.
Too much momentum off the exit, was able to get on a throttle sooner, and the pass for 4th was made for Nick Crawford over Justin Campbell. And now Cedric Hunter once again just continues to fight. And for some drivers, they love to be in the fight. It makes you stay focused. You're not kind of getting lulled away from your focus on hitting your marks, staying in rhythm. But for some other drivers, they would prefer it if they could get by themselves and kind of get in their own headspace of how to run this racetrack. And for Vincent Sora, he's got a double whammy. He's got a lap car putting heavy pressure on the rear end while he's trying to run down Cedric Hunter to at least lead a lap if possible, but ultimately wanting to take the lead.
Now Nick Crawford also by Justin Campbell. That puts him up the 4th. Campbell's lost a little bit of time through that phase. Christopher Norris has gained back a little bit with Vincent Sora and the likes of Cedric Hunter. So this is still wide open when it comes to the race for the lead. I think the critical thing now is going to be, what is your timing for pit stops here? Do you make the early pit stop? If I'm someone like Vincent Sora, I think he just needs some clean air. I mean, personally, this 15, if anything, he needs to undercut his teammate. We'll see if that Cedric leaves that door open for that possibility. But man, oh man, I tell you, it's going to set up quite the battle if they don't.
Zach Trouble, another playoff contender. Danny Cochran, similar contact as Ollie Fonseca, slammed the wall, required damage, and it looks to be even worse contact on the 2 compared to the 24. And for Danny Cochran, he wasn't in an absolute safe position. He only had a 5-point buffer over the likes of Christopher Norris and Justin Campbell, and Danny did not get the stage bonus points that those drivers did.
Oh man, that's going to be a huge loss for him. He could be the one looking to be the outside looking in. It just shows you how fast the Roval can change things. This track is so treacherous, man. It really takes a completely different level of focus compared to other road courses, in my opinion. It's just one of those places that you're as close as you are to the walls for as many laps, at some point you run into issues.
First driver of our top six, excuse me, to hit pit road on a, looks like personal and for a actual strategy pit stop. Cody Reed in the 25, entering pit road for himself, expecting 4 tires and a fuel. He's giving up that 6th place position for these drivers, but at least got 6th place position stage points. Cody's got to be okay. I at least got stage bonus points, and this helps me to stay ahead of Danny Cochran. I think that's the big positive that Cody can take away, but he's got to make sure that he does not get a speeding penalty when leaving pit road now.
Oh man, this is crazy to see some of these pit stops happening with the battles we got going on. Vincent, I mean, he was tucked up underneath the 7 there coming through, and I think here he's going to take maybe a look. He looked for a second, but maybe just trying to make that 7 overstep his boundaries. But if I'm Cedric Hunter, you don't have to go too hard. He makes a mistake, didn't get that first curve. This is going to be Vincent best opportunity here, Sam.
But Vincent Soar did make contact to the rear bumper. It stalled him out, and it's one of those issues where if you're too close, if the driver in front of you makes that mistake, you're not able to take advantage. And once again, Vincent Soar just has to settle behind and not able to make the pass just yet. More drivers hit pit road. It's going to be Christopher Norris and Nick Crawford pitting together.
I like this call from that duo there to come down, pit a little bit earlier. Make the 2 leaders think about themselves in the battle that they going on, because they could play a big factor if they end up jumping these 2, because the fall off we're seeing is about 2 seconds of lap time, almost sometimes upwards of almost 3. So we're going to see a big shift here if these guys up front stay out for a couple laps.
And driver that has already made their pit stop, Cody Reed. He's now moved up to 8th position. I'm looking at what Cody's time is going to be, as it looks like Cody will and should be able to jump, but actually not able to get close enough. He'll stay in 8th place. Going to be mired about 5 seconds behind the duo of Christopher Norris and Nick Crawford that both really get out of pit road cleanly, as Cedric Hunter and Vincent Sora continue to stay on top of one another. Now again, it looms, when do these drivers make their pit stop, as they are teammates? Do they come to pit road at the same time?
It's got to be the question. I think if you're Cedric Hunter, you got to come this time. You can't let this 15 undercut you. You got the other 2 who are trying to do it to you. I think you got to come down this time, and it does look like it. Yep, 7 coming down, 15 follow them. They don't want to wait too long.
And Justin Campbell will follow in suit. I think if Campbell had decided to stay on track for an extra lap, would have been a bonus point. 1 extra bonus point for the 9 machine, and also could have stalled out Cedric Hunter, leading going to have the most laps led for this race. Now, with crossing the line, still being the leader, I believe Cedric Hunter would take that position of most laps led by any driver. That's another 3 bonus points for the 7 machine.
That's huge for Cedric Hunter. I think what's going to be more huge is, what is this race off pit road going to be? Because Vincent Sora got a way better entry into his box here. I think the 15 could jump him here. It's going to be close here, right on the exit, side by side here. Vincent Sora, they're going to have the gripper on the outside.
Sora, with being up to speed, was able to keep the position. Nick Crawford, though, going to be sliding his way by. Christopher Norris going to be trying to get by the 7, and they were able to jump at least one of the drivers, as Christopher Norris, Cedric Hunter, they're still almost beating and banging, staying side by side up into turn number 5, as the 38 does not want to give away this position, and Cedric Hunter went from a dominator to now he's got to make two to three passes to keep the lead now.
Worst case scenario for Cedric Hunter there. That couldn't have played out any worse for him. I watched him get into the box a little bit easy, a little bit, stop a little bit early. That's going to make that stop slow. Vincent Sora, he charged the entry very confidently, and that was the difference, folks. That was literally everything that it was, and Vincent Sora makes that all happen that much easier.
Such a good launch for themselves off the exit of the corner, and it's going to give the 7 the better position on the inside, forcing Christopher Norris high as Cedric Hunter tries to go for this position. John Forbes stays out for an extra lap to lead a lap for the 11. That's 1 bonus point going to John Forbes, which the way his race has been running, I think he kind of just wants that extra little bit of buffer, and he was already good on points, but this just helps out the 11 just a little bit more, as Forbes expected to make a pit stop here after this lap. As a lot of wheel spin for these drivers, as Cedric just trying to get away from this 38.
He's trying to run away because he knows that Vincent Sora, the guy he was competing with, it's pretty much built a sizable gap on him, and he's got a lot different position to be in this time. Now you're the hunter, not the hunted. Can you do it is going to be the question. And I tell you what, don't count Nick Crawford out yet either. I think he was kind of playing possum that first run, stuck behind Justin Campbell, and kind of playing a rear gunner for his teammate Christopher Norris. He's now on the prowl. Look for the 74. If he can keep the tires underneath him, we know how good he is on long runs.
More drivers exiting pit road after their stops. Anthony Gaudio, Joshua Kanata, Dakota Moniz, and GT Arizari as Ryan Ferraro will be one of the last drivers to make their stop. John Forbes still out on track for the 11. He also needs to make a final stop here tonight. Everyone else fighting for every position possible, but the 11 machine, again, expected to pit this time by. Drivers did say that they could go around 30 laps on fuel, but the tire wear was just so massive, the 11 had to pit, and just in the blink of an eye, Vincent Sora to the point, and a lap lead for the 15 machine as he crosses the line now.
Big lap lead there for him. He fought for that thing. Starting in the 8th position, now would have the freshest tires in the group up front. The big thing for him, though, is now that he's leading, he doesn't have anybody kind of hold back his pace. Could that be a detriment to him? We'll have to see. Or does he have that room now to kind of relax and not have to push as hard? It's going to be the big question to see. Some people are better at being the hunter, like I said, and some are better at being the hunted.
As we are now officially into the second half of this race, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to go side by side so you don't miss a thing. But for us here this evening, you're watching the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series Season 6 playoff race number 2 of the round of 12. So who's moving on to the round of 8. Tonight's race is the ISRC 165 at the Roval. Vincent Sora leads, but who else could possibly threaten the 15? We'll find out in just a few moments when we come back. wide behind her pit.
Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work. They make it last, bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. Look at these, that's it.
It's bottom line, here it comes. Oh no, Carter gets run. It's gonna be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trying to drive it down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Cedric Hunter. He does it, he steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck it.
Oh, they wrecked! They wrecked each other. The top two bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they got to be careful. Oh no! The 4 demolishes in the 28. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series covered on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me up the booth is Zach Hall, as you are watching the ISRC 165 at the Charlotte Roval, as it is playoff racing action, the round of 12, the last race of the round of 12, to figure out who's moving on to the round of 8. And currently, tonight's race was dominated early on in the first half by Cedric Hunter, but after pit stop cycle, it's now Vincent Sora, Nick Crawford, Cedric Hunter, Justin Campbell, and Christopher Norris going to be your top 5. And Zach, it has certainly been a shakeup. There's a few drivers that have had some big moments, and one of those being Danny Cochran. Got to say, we were looking under the commercial break. Surprisingly, he's still in the top 10.
Yeah, still in the top 10 after that required repair he had to get done to the suspension of that 2 truck, and he's still trucking along, so to say. And I mean, only 11 seconds behind Jared Talmadge. Is getting ran down a little bit by John Forbes here, who was on much fresher tires than Cochran. Forbes stayed out there really a lot longer than anybody did. But the good thing for him after that for Cochran is it's 30 seconds back to the next truck from 10th. So if Danny can bring home, I believe, this 9th position, it's going to put him in an interesting scenario for sure, with Campbell and Norris still running 4th and 5th, getting the stage points they got. We'll see how it shakes out, but a good thing for Cochran, at least with the timing of his damage, he can still make it to the end of the race with that pit stop.
Yeah, I mean, he's looking good that he's going to make it to the end of this stage, but he cannot afford to lose this position to John Forbes. I was doing a little bit of the math with adding up all the bonus points that we know so far. That's not accounting for the 1 bonus point for 0 incidences. And I also, because of other drivers leading laps, it automatically gave the most laps led to Cedric Hunter. So we're adding, so far, drivers that have led a lap, drivers that have the most laps led, and stage bonus points to the points entering into tonight. And it looks like Joshua Kanata has been moved out. Christopher Norris will become the 8th place driver in points. And drivers that are very close to one another, it's going to be the new cutoff drivers, being Danny Cochran and going to be Justin Campbell. Joshua Kanata has fallen to 10th in points for himself. And the points difference between Danny Cochran and to the likes of Justin Campbell, it is just 4 points between themselves. But Zach, let's make it a little bit more interesting. We actually have a 3-way tie for 8th in points, as we got Jared Talmadge, Danny Cochran, Cody Reed, all tied for the bubble spot.
Oh man, this is going to be a pressure cooker of a finish here. Is now Forbes going for that position down here in the back straight with chicane. And you know, we have the privy up here of not driving and be able to look at these numbers a little bit over. If you're Danny Cochran, I'm sure he doesn't really know his positioning. He's just really trying to run the best he can here, and seeing Forbes get by him, he doesn't even know how critical that position could end up being.
Because now Danny Cochran runs in 9th, Justin Campbell in 4th. That's a big enough gap for enabling Justin Campbell to move into the round of 8 by 1 point. It is that critical thing we were talking about of, you know, maybe stay out for an extra lap to get that bonus point. For Justin Campbell, he'd be a little bit more of a comfortable situation. Now he has to make sure that he does not fall any lower than 4th place right now.
I'd say what could come back to be another thing for Campbell is if he can get 0 incidents, Sam. You know, if he can get that extra bonus point, that could be huge for him. We know Cochran definitely doesn't have that in his back pocket with that hit to the wall. So that even that 1 point could end up being the very difference for these drivers.
Every point is being so critical for all of these drivers, and looking at the difference, Ollie Fonseca looking to be maybe a little bit out of touch with the way that he's running here tonight and having troubles with the extra damage for the 24. Other drivers of Dakota Moniz, Joshua Kanata, those three drivers not ahead of any of their other competition. It's down to Campbell and Tyler Dingler making contact and talking about having 0 incident points. Well, with that hard of a hit, that could be stealing a bonus point away from the 9.
You're exactly right. That hit right there could have been at least a 2x contact. I mean, that again, you got to be careful of those things. Hopefully, for his sake, it was a 0x. But again, you can stack those incident points up, and yeah, it's not going to hurt you for anything penalizing wise, but it will hurt you for gaining that bonus point. So, and like I said, every point is going to be, what is needed. And I thought personally, we got a lot of the points going on. I thought the race for the win might be over, but Nick Crawford doing Nick Crawford things again, being great on the long run. He's keeping Vincent Sora in check while everybody else is trying to keep these trucks just on the racetrack.
Yeah, the closest battle on track is for the lead. The other close battle on track, Dakota Moniz and Joshua Kanata between themselves. Again, the point scenario for these drivers is the fact that we have a 3-way tie with all the bonus points so far that we have the ability of knowing knowledge for right now. That's not accounting for the 0 incident point bonus point, which is 1 bonus point. We have a 3-way tie between Jarrett Talmadge, Danny Cochran, Cody Reed for the 8th place in points. But the driver that's in better positioning is going to be Justin Campbell, who is behind those 3 drivers by 4 points. So now it's down to positioning to get that amount of points that you need. Where Danny Cochran runs right now, he is not safe to move on to the next round for himself. As you see the other battles on track, this is that battle for 11th place. Joshua Kanata with Dakota Moniz and Anthony Gaudio, all within a second of one another.
Stacked up right now on top of each other in critical positions for each of these drivers, but it looks like it may end up being a little bit short for their points if they end up still staying around these positions. So we'll see how their night shakes up. As Kanata, they're going to have to make that mistake. That's now going to give him a slowdown. This should allow Moniz to go by and possibly even the 3 Gaudio.
Trying to slice their way through, and that is got to be frustrating for Dakota Moniz. For himself, Gaudio, though, not able to close in the gap just close enough, but now all 3 drivers, and no, Dakota Moniz goes a little bit wide, almost clips Anthony Gaudio, and there's the mistake. Forces the 5 machine, losing 1 position, might be losing more, as Ollie Fonseca's on the back bumper of the 5, as well as Anthony Gaudio putting the pressure on the 16.
Yeah, it is putting the pressure on him, man. This track is just a lurking mistake always. Here's hole 3. I'm going to look to the outside, and this is a big move. I mean, wow, right around the outside, but he's not going to have no grip around there, and it looked great until he got to the apex, and that truck just didn't steer. Now look at this. Here comes Fonseca. He's trying to come through. This is stacking everybody up.
And with a little bit of contact going to be from Gaudio and Dakota Moniz as they're trying to go through these final aspects of the infield, as Anthony Gaudio, Dakota Moniz slicing and dicing, and almost some contact, and it's going to be the 24, hoping to get up to speed, at least take 1, if not 2 of these positions. Not able to just yet to fully commit. Finally does over to Anthony Gaudio, as Gaudio trying to do a little bit of a crossover move with the momentum off the exit of the corner.
Here he goes down to the inside here, but the 24 going to cut him off on entry. And I tell you what, great job of holding on to him, but he's going to drift out of it. As man, oh man, these guys are fighting for every little bit of grip here. And he's in position from 11th back to 14th. This is some great racing we got going on. And actually, they're not far in front of our leaders right now. We're about, I'd say, about 5-6 seconds behind this group.
Yeah, they're about 6 seconds back, and the more that they continue to race, it's going to be closing in quickly because our leaders are running almost 4 seconds faster than that group that's almost beating and banging off of one another. Again, that group we were just watching, that's the battle for 11th place. They're basically running just for their best finish at a road course for some, but for the lead, Nick Crawford still staying attached, and those lap cars could play a huge factor. If Crawford can find the timing to use maybe those lap cars as a pick, it could be a big move. As Anthony Gaudio tries to get out of the way, he slams on the brakes just to let the leaders go on by, and the timing almost was disastrous as Gaudio had to slam the throttle to get out of the way.
Man, this could throw you off as a leader, just seeing that stuff happen in front of you. can really take your focus off hitting your marks. And right now, the 74 Nick Crawford has been very, very good at just putting the pressure on the 15. And we got to remember what happened between these two earlier. The 15 took a very ambitious look to the inside on this back straightaway chicane and kind of dove up the inside and kind of used the 74 a little bit up. If you're Nick Crawford, you remember that all the way back early in the race. You say, well, I'm back here now, buddy. You better be ready for it when we return. So if Nick Crawford gets within a half a truck length coming to that chicane, I expect him to dive it up the inside.
But I mean, Zach, we see Nick willing to be aggressive in those moves when it comes down to, pitch strategy aggression, but on track aggression towards other drivers. I feel like it's so hard to think back to the last time we've seen a 74 be willing to maybe use a bumper or use up another driver for a win. It seems like it's more so of an honor system we always see from Crawford against other drivers.
I completely agree with you. I think Crawford is, personally, one of the most respectful, honorable drivers out there in the service. So I don't expect too much retaliation like I'm saying from him. It's more or less I'm wanting to see a little bit from him. So maybe wishful thinking for him. But like you said, he is very respectful. But like, at the end of the day, too, this is going to be the guy he's got to go through for the championship. I think these two know kind of, hey, we're definitely staring each other in the eyes when it comes to that championship. And tonight could be a little bit of an ego boost, so to say, for those two. So they need to definitely try to, one-up each other as much as they can.
Absolutely. I know it's always a joy for us when we see drivers getting their elbows out, willing to make the bold moves. And speaking of bold moves, here are 3 drivers that most likely will not be running for a chance to fight for a championship this season, and instead are just going to be fighting each other for 11th place on track. This is going to be heartbreaking for all 3 drivers of Ollie Fonseca, Dakota Moniz, Joshua Kanata. Kanata coming into tonight as that number 8 driver on the cutoff line. But with all this hard racing between these 3 drivers, it's now going to be a 5-horse race because we got our leaders right behind them as Ollie Fonseca trying to go for a diving pass. He'll hit the rumble strip right in front of Vincent Sora. Sora goes low, almost contact with our leader, and Vincent Sora almost having flashbacks of all the times that he's seen races fall away with lap traffic making contact. That's 1 down, 2 to go for Vincent Sora on the lap cars to get by.
Here we go. There you go. Dakota Moniz is going to pull off to the right there and let these 2 by. And that's going to bring him back to the battle with Ollie Fonseca. But now they'll have the likes of Kanata. Once they get through Joshua Kanata, there's about 8 seconds up the road to GT Irizarry, and they clear the 16 very easily. So now back to a mano a mano, but that got closed there for a second. If it would have been in a different spot of the track, Nick Crawford could have maybe took advantage. It looked like he was just willing to stay behind and not cause any issues.
He was a lot more in a reactive state of where do I need to go if these 2 make contact with one another, and luckily they make it through and into the bus stop. Both drivers trying to hit their marks to get the better exit out of the bus stop on the back stretch and onto the oval turn 3. Vincent Sora still with almost a 3/10 lead over the 74 of Nick Crawford. Also of note, Anthony Gaudio in the 3 machine, who at one moment was a part of this cluster of drivers that we were watching for the last couple of laps. The 3 has pulled it in pit road and called it a night, just not a rough night for the 3 of Anthony Gaudio, as he decides that his evening is over. Again, next race these drivers will have next week for the start of the round of 8 at Legacy, Texas. Going to be a major change. iRacing completely changing these truck cars, moving forward, completely upgrading the aero system, the downforce. So this is the last time you're going to be seeing basically this style of racing with these trucks probably for a long time, as Nick Crawford, Vincent Sora are giving you a fantastic show on who's going to have this position. And as this fight continues to go on, Nick Crawford not able to make the pass. The battle for 3rd now starting to ramp up, and this is again critical for Justin Campbell, that's trying to gain as many points as possible to make sure he's ahead of Cody Reed, also the 2 of Danny Cochran and Jared Talmadge.
And oh man, yeah, Campbell he's on it tonight. This is, if he brings home 3rd, I know he's had victories before, but this has got to be his best performance he has ever pulled off here at ISRC, because in my opinion, this was not foreseen. He's had speed before on the road courses, but at a track of this difficulty, he's usually thrown in away at some point. And no mistakes tonight. He's been on it from the get-go. He's now got a chance to fight for a podium.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to carry over the momentum that he's had basically from the start of the season. And Campbell was there in the podium position to win races early on in the first 2 races of the season, and then finally was able to get that first win to start the playoffs off all the way back at the beginning of May and at Atlanta. And this 9 has been just trying to have just a good race after good race, and now they lead this group the battle for 3rd place, gets to deal with that lap traffic our leaders just had a few laps ago, as Justin Campbell, also Cedric Hunter. This is a scary spot to catch yourself with lap traffic, because that lap traffic really doesn't have any space to get out of the way. They've got to stay and try to run a quick lap, a quick stint, as our leaders are closing in down on them. But Zaga, I know this battle's close, but also the battle for the lead is just as close.
Crawford is on the back bumper, and he's taking a look here to come to the chicane. Remember what happened earlier. Would not be surprised if we see the bumper used, but Crawford going to look to the outside and just kind of back it up for the corner exit here. Can he get the drive off? Just doesn't have it yet, but he's close here coming to that final chicane, and this is going to allow him to open up the entry just a little bit.
I mean, you set up this pass, you try to set up these positionings, and for Nick Crawford, maybe you don't make the pass now, maybe you make it in the future, but he's right on the back bumper, slight contact with 15. Vincent Sora holds on, they'll jump over the turtles, and that slight contact for Nick Crawford, he backed off so much. Vincent Sora said, all right, I'll use that momentum, and pulls away. The gap is now back up to a half a second.
Let's see if Crawford can slowly bring this back in. He looks like he's got very, very good grip through the infield. As right now, look at Campbell. He's making the move on Cedric Hunter around the outside. Here comes the 7, though. They're going to be side by side, door to door here, heading into the right-hander. Can the 7 hold on? But the contact's going to be made. It looks like Cedric Hunter will clear, but will Campbell have the run here down the straightaway?
A little bit of deja vu from lap number 1, almost the exact same move that needed to be made for Cedric Hunter to keep the lead position. But this go around, Justin Campbell, he is right on the back bumper, trying to give a push, a bump, to get that 7 sideways off the exit, and finally onto the oval, trying to utilize the draft if possible, as both drivers get up through the gears. But Cedric Hunter has the draft of Joshua Kanata. That's going to help the 7 just slightly. But is Campbell willing to make the dive now or later? And it looks like he'll settle with staying in line as Kanata gets out of shape in front of the 7. There could be an opening, but Campbell has to settle behind the 7.
Man, straight through the bumper, and if you're Cedric Hunter, you're trying to get around the 16 quickly. He goes to the inside here, and Kanata's going to let these 2 go on by. But man, oh man, this battle is not going to quit. I mean, we've got these 2 nose to tail. We've got the leaders nose to tail. I don't know what to watch, Sam.
And if either one of them, if the battle for the lead is 4 bonus points going into the next round, 5 bonus points goes to the winner of this race, Nick Crawford, because he won the last race back at Kansas. He already has 5 bonus points going into the round of 8. He would love to have a 10 bonus point buffer into this final round before the championship round. And Vincent Sora, he wants any advantage, because this has not been a stress-free round for the 15. He's had his ups, he's had his downs, but a win really could change everything for himself. And then that battle for 3rd, Cedric Hunter, he's comfortable and confident where he's at in points. He's locked in on points after the incredible first half of a race the 7 just had. And for Justin Campbell, just one more position could be a little bit more comfort to breathe as this race slowly comes to a conclusion. 5, about to be 4 laps to go for this battle for the lead position.
And you can see it, Crawford just right now has superior drive off. The rear tires are there much more. He's all over the back bumper. And Vince Sera, the only thing he can do is watch the mirror right now, watch for the moves, because here it comes, looking to the outside here in the chicane. I don't know if this is going to be the move he wants to do. He's trying to straighten him off a little bit to hurt his exit for turn 1 here. Can Crawford have the positioning, but just not a good enough run off this time? The closer we get to the end, the more thought of the bumper will come in.
It certainly is, and I think for Nick Crawford, maybe he's been planning out how he wants to make this move. We always talk about if you're going to use the chrome horn, you got to make sure if you make the move that the driver that you move out of the way doesn't have a chance to retaliate. And for Nick Crawford, maybe waiting until later on, or still waiting for a lap car to use as a pick to make a clean pass if possible. As we have another lap car in front of our leaders. That's going to be the 14 GT Irizarry, our 10th place runner at this current time, being ran down by our leaders. 4 laps to go. And for Nick Crawford, he's still trying to find that better exit onto the oval, onto the backstretch, into oval turn 1. Crawford is there. Another opportunity to try to make a lunge onto the bus stop.
That is where Crawford is better. Through 7, he's able to get a much better drive off. He's going to look to the inside here in the chicane, but now going to look to the outside here in a late diving move. I don't know about that's going to work. He's just trying to maybe make Vincent Sora have to think here on the exit to set something up, but I think you got to look to the inside and lunge down there and use up the 15.
It seems like the way to go, but Crawford, like we said, he's just trying every little move to try to make this pass cleanly. He's trying to force the mistake. This is what you're trying to do to be a clean, finish here to the end. But if you want those extra bonus points, a fight for a championship, this is your go-around. But wheel spin's going to hurt the 74 as Vincent Sora continues to hold off the lead. The battle for third has kind of dwindled away as now that gap's up to a second. Cedric Hunter does defend for third place. But up front, as we continue to watch and see, Vincent Sora, Nick Crawford still nose to tail like they've been for the past almost 10 laps. 3 laps to go, and Sora really doesn't have a lot of options. It's just continue to fight and defend and hope that Crawford's exit just falls away on one of these last laps.
Look right here, Crawford through that corner has just got a lot more turn in the car, and here's going to be the critical point. Can you get the drive through here and up off? Sora looks like he carries more speed at the apex, but Crawford carries it down the straightaway, and especially with the ability of that draft, he's going to have that little bit more top speed. But as we close closer and closer to the end, he's going to take more looks to the inside, more looks to make that 15, maybe make that critical mistake.
Well, try to push the 15 a little bit further out if possible. Not able to do so. We'll just linger in the tire tracks of Vincent Sora. Other close battles, the battle for third, coming closer and closer. Looks to be a slight mistake by Cedric Hunter. Has enabled Justin Campbell to be less than half a second for that battle, and we keep our sights on this lead. Vincent Sora, will he make a mistake over the rumble strips? 1, 2, over the line, and the 15 still holds the lead, but with 2 laps to go, the timing, the options, the attempts, they're dwindling away, Zach. This could be the last chance for Nick Crawford because you don't have very many good chances, and if you slip up once, you're not fighting back.
That's exactly right, Sam. I think you can't, just give up on a few opportunities, because if you give up on those opportunities, you don't know how many of them you're going to get. And I mean, he is making this 15 think really hard because he's looking outside, inside, cutting back, and that is what you want to do if you're that driver in second. Just make him think and make him get off his marks, and right now, he's doing everything right.
Vincent Sora keeps it neat and tidy off the exit and onto the oval surface, as Nick Crawford was trying to take a little bit of a wider approach to find a little bit of extra speed and momentum. This could be the lunge, the pass for the lead, already a setup for next lap. Crawford's got the momentum, but not the positioning. He'll be right on the back bumper, trying to give the push, trying to give the shove. He'll get to the outside quarter panel. Vincent Sora with a little bit of a wiggle. There's the chance to try to get to the inside quarter panel, but can't do so. He'll go wide. High is Nick Crawford, using the momentum of gravity to try to get below the 15. Well, we keep side by side, going into the flash chicane for the white flag. They touch, they bang over the rumble strips, topped into the wall. Nick Crawford to the lead with the white flag being thrown.
What a move. That's exactly what he needed, was to get alongside fully there. Now have the best infield of your life. You have to make sure to get away from the 15 because you know he's coming back with a final knockout shot. You can't let him get there. So Nick Crawford now trying to make sure he's picture perfect through here.
You gave the contact, but this is where the strength's been. Vincent Sora with a little bit of wheel spin. Gonna lose just a tenth going into the final couple of corners in the infield. It's once we hit the oval that Vincent Sora is gonna have the advantage of the draft to try to go for a bus stop move. Already a setup for the last chicane. It's been Nick Crawford just hunting and hounding the rear bumper of the 15 onto the oval. We're done with the infield. Here we go,
Big
Zach.
mistake.
Into here, it's a chance for Nick Crawford to win this, but Vincent Sora's fading.
Fading, and like you said, that was the mistake he didn't need to do. He needed to be close enough down here. The chicanes, he's not going to be close enough. Nick Crawford just needs to get a great drive off here, and he will be set and sail here for one last time.
Vincent Sora uses every little bit of the track, but Nick Crawford just has one more chicane to go to win and sweep the round of 12. Vincent Sora thought another win was in hand, but instead, Crawford hits the brakes, hits the one turtle, hits the second, over the line. Crawford sweeps the round of 12. The 74 is gonna have the biggest advantage into the round of 8.
What a drive. I mean, that guy raced him so respectfully and I mean, made that pass work in so many ways that he could have tried different stuff on. He could have used them up, but he cleanly makes that pass. And man, what a show it put on for us! Is you got to even give Vince sort of credit because he could have really pushed Nick Crawford over that exit curve coming to the white flag and could have given him a slowdown there. So that was just excellent driving from our top two out there. And it looks like Cedric Hunter just going to hold off Justin Campbell too. So shout out to the four.
Campbell finishes in 4th. John Ford is about to cross the line to take 8th. Danny Cochran, the driver of question, 9th place. And Danny Cochran could be one of our first past champions get knocked out of the playoffs as he crosses the line 9th. We wait for the official numbers. But Zach, for Danny Cochran, frustration, he has already taken the tow. I think the two might already know his fate as we wait for the points to officially be counted and given to us. But based off the numbers that I've written down so far, I believe Justin Campbell's in and Danny Cochran's out.
Man, that is tough to see a past champion, someone we know who was going to be a threat. I mean, he's been so instrumental this season to so many different races, and to see him get knocked out, it just shows you at any time in any of these rounds or how competitive it is, it can easily just go slip out of your hands.
As we wait for the official numbers to clock in, Nick Crawford gets to have a blast of burning it down here tonight as drivers have just finished up completing all their laps. The 74 burns it down. His Snowy Desert teammates will be joining with them to do some burnouts, but for us, we will step away. When we come back, we'll talk to our top 3. The 74, Nick Crawford, Vincent Sora, Cedric Hunter, and the Spotlight driver. Most likely is going to be the last driver to make the playoffs, move on to the next round of our playoffs, but we'll be back right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show of the ISRC Larry Art Productions Truck Series. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up at the booth, Zach Hall, as you're on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We just concluded the ISRC 165 at the Charlotte Roval, the last race of the round of 12. Figure out who's going to be making it to the next round. We're still calculating the official points, and whoever is moving on, if it's Danny Cochran or Justin Campbell, Whatever driver it is, that will be our spotlight driver. But we will first head to victory lane to go talk to the driver that had to fight and claw and waited for his time to pounce. We've got the 74 and Nick Crawford with us. Nick, you sweep the round of 12. You got the max bonus points to carry over into the next round for yourself. But how are you feeling after that grueler of a race here tonight?
Woo! I am excited. I love talking to you guys, so it's good when it's for the win. But I am sweaty. It's 140 degrees here in Vegas, and I am in the garage. But I have an air conditioner, but I can only do so much. But that one was hard. My knees hurt.
Hey, I tell you what, Nick, I know that feeling working hard for one of those victories around these tracks. I mean, what changed there after that pit stop, man? It just seemed like you came alive to where, was that first run just kind of letting it come to you and kind of playing that rear gunner role, or what take us through it, because it just seemed like you got better after that second pit stop.
Yeah, of course, more laps on the track, especially in the race conditions, is going to help. But first part of the race, I was kind of just hanging back a little bit. At this point, I had a win, moving on, and if I could help my teammates in any way, kind of like play blocker a little bit, get Norris some good points in the stage, because I think he was on the outside looking in when we started. So that was kind of the plan there. And then I didn't think that tires would be too important, so I was telling Norris we should just jump them if we can. So we kind of short pit them, but only by one lap because they came in the next. But I did not full fuel. I only put in like 10 gallons. So I had a little bit less fuel in the tank. And I think that's what it was because Vinny said he took a full tank. So I think that made a difference. And, I'm taking a shot in the dark, seeing if it would have. And it sure did.
I mean, Nick, an incredible race for us just to watch that last couple of laps, you setting up for that pass on Vincent Sora. How much of that pass and the move that you went for, because we saw plenty of opportunities to try to make a similar move. Were you waiting until that last lap to make that move, or were there thoughts, oh, I could take the chance now, but it's just not worth it?
There's not many passing zones on this track, so to be honest, I was counting down the laps and I was like, when I get the chance, I need to go. And Vinny just started to really struggle late, especially whenever we got behind any kind of lap cars, his front tires just went away. So um, there aren't very many passing zones, not many that I feel comfortable in. And I got a really good run, and I was like, well, he'll make it to the next round. I'll make it to the next round. Let me try and make this move. So it's kind of like a bonsai move. I felt bad about it, but Vinny says he's okay with it. But yeah, I was just trying to make the move when I could, and I just couldn't get close enough at the right times until then.
Well, I mean, Nick, an incredible race. Again, sweeping the round of 12. You're going to have a 10-point buffer going into the round of 8. Congratulations on that. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
As always, I must shout out my beautiful wife. She's going to school. She's got an internship. She's got work. She's got all this stuff going on, and she still has a smile on her face. So I love her. Shout out to everyone in my family. It's Pride Month. Half of you are out there. Equality. Shout out to my teammates. They're awesome to race with. I love hanging out with them. And even during the race, in those moments, I was telling them to keep talking because it was helping me. And shout out to the admins who put on the league. And of course, you guys for putting on a great show. I love to go back and watch it and brag about it.
Well, thank you for giving us a fantastic show to watch. That will be your winner tonight for the ISRC 165 and his sixth career win this season. It's Nick Crawford in the 74. Enjoy this, Nick, and good luck in the next round.
Thank you guys.
As we move from our winner in victory lane, we head down to second place, where we get to talk to the 15 of Vincent Sora. Vinny, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. You fought Cedric for the first half of this race. Then you had the lead for the majority of the second half. Man, how are you feeling with the way that this race concluded and just this race in general?
Terrible because I threw the thing away in every way I could and just kept on throwing it away. Um, Even though I ran like a pretty perfect race, it felt like from the cockpit. I botched my qualifying lap and thought the race was already over and then just drove everybody down the first run and thought that I was Superman there and just gonna drive away with it. But Nick was telling me after the race he didn't fill it up with full tank of fuel, and I just never think far enough ahead to do smart things, and I didn't even think that was something that we could do. But yeah, it explains why my truck turned like a snow plow and his turned like a F1 car there. I just had no front grip that last run and couldn't get the thing to rotate, and that's where he was beating me. So I just got to keep working because he just keeps on beating me, and I got 3 races left to try to win the championship, and I've just been pretty much sucking lately. Everywhere I need to be perfect, I'm pretty far off the bench. So I don't know. We'll keep working. Nick drove a great race. He drove a smart race as always, and just outclassed me there at the end.
Very, very close for sure, Vinny, coming down to the end, man. Just marginal between you guys with the racing that you had, but it was excellent to watch up here in the booth. Take us through the differences of, first run, you're the hunter, you're running the people down, and then being the hunted for the last half. It was a complete tell of a different tape there for you for the 2 halves of the race.
Yeah, the first run, like I said, I felt great riding behind the guys and watching them make mistakes because my truck just did everything I wanted it to. And I think it probably also had a lot to do with track temp. I don't know how much it cooled down, but I know it cooled down probably enough. But yeah, the truck felt great the first run. It was everything that I would want on a road course and any vehicle. And then the second run, and yeah, I just from the start I had no front grip, and I thought I was doing everything right. I thought I would eventually drive away from him because I was trying to save, but I think not pushing and building a gap hurt me more than it did help me because those last 10 laps he was just all over me, and I was doing everything I could. I'm honestly surprised that I held him off for as long as I did because there are a few times where if I was in his position, I probably would have just moved myself out of the way with some of the blocks I was throwing on him. But yeah, he just drove a much better race, and I fell off.
Well, Vinny, going into these final 3 races, we were just informed that iRacing is making a massive change to the trucks. How much are you worried about this change that's coming tomorrow that's going to affect these last 3 races?
I'm honestly not really worried about the change. I'm just worried about the driver of the 15 and adapting to it because um, I don't know. I'm already, like I said, kind of behind the 8 ball here. It seems like the last three or so races, and it's just something else that I need to figure out after already falling behind there towards the end. So I don't know. I'm gonna do a lot of studying and a lot of practice probably, and I'm gonna hopefully kind of craft a better racer for the rest of the season and see what I can do with the change.
Well, we can now wait to see how you're going to perform into this next round, Vinny. But before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, shout out to Nick. That was probably a really good show from everybody that wasn't me. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'll look back on it and enjoy it more than I am now. Shout out to everybody in the league. The car count wasn't great tonight, but after an off week and it being a road course, it wasn't bad. So hopefully it picks up the last 3 races. Shout out to admin. Shout out to you guys for broadcasting, and shout out to my teammates. I was just informed that Danny unfortunately didn't make it in the next round, so that's pretty brutal. I hate to see that for him. I think he was going to be a big threat for everybody there those last 3 races, and I feel awful because he was fast all year and probably deserves to be in that round of 8. But I'm sure he'll regroup and come back and fight for a championship next season.
Well, Vinny, congratulations on a great run here tonight, and good luck next week at Legacy, Texas.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.
You too. As we move from second place, we go down to third, who had a grueler of a fight himself, having to hold back the likes of Justin Campbell, and in the first half of the race, had to hold back Vincent Sora. We've got Cedric Hunter with us. Cedric, an incredible start to this race. The first half was almost perfection with you leading and dominating so much, but how are you feeling coming away with third place finish at the end of the night?
I guess that's a two-part question. I'm feeling pretty bad. But I mean, I guess to rally off to third, I guess is pretty good. I was kind of surprised that I was able to run that qualifying lap tonight, and we had pace, obviously. Uh, I'm not gonna lie, it's one of I've the way I'm feeling right now is probably one of the worst that I've felt in a while behind the wheel. So concentrating and doing all that stuff was kind of a struggle. Obviously, being at a road course doesn't help for that. So, um, for the most part, I tried my best to fend off Vinny or just to fend off whoever was in second for that first part of the race. And, um, I think I did a fairly decent job there trying to get, or I guess I won the stage. So, Um, good points. I'm not sure if in this league, if winning the stage actually counts towards a playoff point for next round. So I'll have to go take a look into that. Hopefully, cross my fingers that it does. Um, and then Vinny beat me off pit road because Vinny's just really good on pit road, and I'm not that great at it. So he got by me, and then I got stuck with in between, I guess, Nick and Norris, and at that point, I think I just kind of threw up the white flag and was more racing for a podium. Even mentally, I just kind of checked out on even having the thought of racing for a win. So, um, I mean, good job to Vinny. He was really quick tonight. I know he battled back from a mediocre qualifying position, and I was really surprised at the run that Nick had there in the last second half of the race. Man, I don't know where that speed came from, but um, I mean, Nick's always really good on road courses, anyways. But he had a decent first half and then a superb second. So congrats to him on getting the win tonight.
Definitely was quite the battle with you guys up there, Cedric. I know definitely under the weather there, man, for you a little bit. So that's always tough when it comes to a physical place like the Roval. Do you feel like that was kind of what led to once the second half of the race started there and you fell back to third? Like you said, you kind of threw up the white flag. Was that also due to a little bit of fatigue maybe creeping in?
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I can't even say that. I think even if I was feeling fine, I don't think I probably had anything for them. Like I was struggling with front grip tonight, which like in practice throughout the whole week, it was kind of, the was managing the rears was the most important thing, and and keeping the temps down as much as possible. And I felt like I did a decent job throughout the run to do that, regardless of how I felt. And which I just had no front grip, whether it was the first or second run. I kind of struggled with that. Um, so I probably realistically would have probably still gone to third, even if I was feeling okay. I probably just wouldn't have checked out. Like I would have tried to maybe race more for it. Um, because yeah, the last 20 laps or so, I was pretty much just looking at the lap counter the entire run and just counting down and looking behind me and seeing that Justin was coming and trying to judge, I guess, how much I have to actually push and all that stuff. So there's a lot of just managing the gaps and then obviously with like 5 laps to go, I just had to start pushing it a little bit more. But he was also really quick, man. His pace on long run was top notch. I think tonight we probably had just fourth place speed and uh, and we got third place, so I'm pretty content with that.
Well, Cedric, I would ask a third question, but we're going to let you go, let you rest
Yeah,
up.
fine.
Congratulations again on a third place finish, and best of luck heading into the next round, because I know it's going to be a tough one for yourself.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm not gonna be showing up, or I'm probably just gonna be doing a star in Park at Texas. So next round for me is gonna be probably a must win at Iowa. And then with the track reconfiguration, physics, all that fun stuff that's coming out tomorrow, we'll see how that goes. I'm gonna have to probably put down more practice at Iowa than I've put down at any track this season.
And finally, the floor is yours for any more shout outs.
I want to give you guys a shout out, all the fans out there, the drivers for coming out tonight, and my teammates, I guess, uh, with Vinny and Danny. And I know Danny didn't make it through, which is unfortunate. He would have been probably a good bet for getting into the top or the final four. So it sucks for him, but he'll continue to be fast in the next 3 races. And congrats to Nick for the win.
That will be your third place finisher here tonight and your pole sitter for tonight's race, Cedric Hunter in the 7 machine. Congratulations, Cedric, and we'll hope for the best again into the next round.
Thanks, man.
As we move from third place, like you heard the last 2 drivers say, Danny Cochran is out. We go down to 4th position, where we get to talk to the 9 machine of Justin Campbell. Justin, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Congratulations on a 4th place finish here tonight. And man, how are you feeling? It looked like a fantastic performance out there on track, and congratulations on moving on to the round of 8.
Thank you. It was honestly a stressful day today on the sim tonight. 1 point, 1 point. Beat Danny by 1 point. That's, man, I didn't know it was that close, but I tried my best on the last lap to get around Cedric to at least give myself a little bit of comfortability to have a decent point buffer if it came that close, which it was this close.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely astounding to see you make it through, Justin. I mean, what came together all tonight? Because we've seen in the past, road courses haven't been necessarily your strong suit, but it seemed like here tonight at Charlotte Roval, everything was firing on all cylinders for that 9.
Honestly, I put a lot more practice like than any race that I've done on the sim, to be honest with you. Like at least like 3 days this week I've been on the sim after work, just practicing on the sim for Charlotte and stuff like that with my teammates and some of the other drivers in this league. And they played a big role in finding out what my pace needs to be for this race.
I mean, Justin, it was incredible to watch. Like Zach said, the pace that you had here tonight and putting yourself in that position. Uh, at what moment did you realize that points were close, or did you just not know during that race?
Honestly, I didn't know because I don't have a crew chief or anything, but Ollie's crew chief kind of whispered to me about the point situation. So I kind of knew what I had to do, but at the same time, not really. I was just really just trying to gain as many spots as I can. That's why those last 2 laps, I was really hustling it to try and get around Cedric and try and pass him clean.
Well, it
But
certainly gave us a great show to watch, Justin. Congratulations on moving on and continuing the fight for a championship into the round of 8. Before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any more shoutouts.
uh, thank you to my teammates and some of my other fellow drivers in this league that have practiced with me this week. Thanks to everybody that's watched this race tonight. Hope everybody enjoyed it.
Well, that will be your 4th place finisher here tonight and last driver to make it into the round of 8, Justin Campbell in the 9 machine. Congratulations, Justin. Enjoy this finish and good luck into the round of 8, trying to make the final 4.
Thank you, sir.
As we move away from our interviews, it certainly was a crazy race overall. I don't think anyone could have predicted the absolute madness. There were a few drivers of note that we knew were in a tough spot to dig out of the hole that they had entering tonight, such as Dakota Moniz and Ollie Fonseca. Though there was always that possibility with how fast they were running. Christopher Norris, Justin Campbell, they were a threat to push 2 drivers out of the top 8 points entering tonight. And they did just that, pushing out the likes of Joshua Kanata and Danny Cochran. And Zach, as the unofficial results pop up for tonight's race, I mean, it's crazy to look at the finish that we have. I mean, first goes to Nick Crawford, Vincent Sora, making the pass coming to the white flag was incredible. Cedric Hunter holds off for 3rd over Justin Campbell's threat. Christopher Norris takes 5th. Jared Talmadge with a very solid 6th place finish, with Cody Reed 7th, John Forbes 8th, Danny Cochran 9th, and GT Zari 10th. You look at the way the points lined up as the rest of this, rest of the unofficial results go through. The points were so close. 5th in points had a tie of Christopher Norris and Jarrett Talmadge. It was 1 point back to Cody Reed, who was 7th in points. Then it was 1 point back from 7th to 8th, where we found Justin Campbell, and then 1 point back to 9th in points for Danny Cochran. 5th to 9th was just simply a 3-point difference.
Crazy to see. And I mean, if you look at the results even tonight, it shows you how critical tonight's race was too, because everybody in the top 8, all of those drivers are our top 8 drivers for the championship. So I mean, it just goes to show you that you had to perform here tonight. It was on the line. Danny Cochran, who finishes 9th after that damage, and he possibly could have been looking at an 8th to 7th place finish, I'd say, most of the night. That right there is those points that lost him and out. And I mean, it just shows you how close everything comes down to. 1 point can be the difference. We say it every single season. We've seen it multiple times now. And I think people will start to figure out one day that 1 point seems like it's always the difference when we're coming down to the end of these things.
It always does feel that way. Stage points became so critical. That 1 lap lead could have been everything for Justin Campbell, but the positionings worked out perfectly for the 9 machine to move on and join the likes of Nick Crawford, John Forbes, Cedric Hunter, Vincent Sora, Jarrett Talmadge, and as well Cody Reed. We've got Christopher Norris and Justin Campbell going to be your 8 drivers continuing on with their charge into a championship in the season 6. And with the drivers that are eliminated, it was just the drivers themselves were freaking out about it, because now 3 of our 4 drivers that made the final 4 last season are eliminated in the round of 12. And for Danny Cochran, this one's going to hurt a little bit more, because he will be the only previous champion not to move on. And this is the 2nd time that he's been eliminated in his career in the round of 12. A tough, very tough pill to swallow for that 2 machine. And I know he's going to be very upset. And honestly, the rest of the field should be nervous with how aggressive Danny might be trying to win the rest of these races moving forward.
It's going to set a flame under him to get himself rolling for another season. So, yeah, I feel for Danny, because we know he had, if not one of the best shots at winning the championship this season, to be, the first repeat champion that we've seen here at ISRC. But it just seems like it's not going to be his opportunity this season. So one of our champions down. Now the rest remain, along with the other drivers that make up our final 8. And I tell you what, it's a strong group, Sam. We're going to see quite the battles ahead of us, and I can't wait to see who comes out to be that final 4 when we go to Homestead to decide that champion.
It's going to be a fun one. Cannot wait for next week to see the new iRacing update, how it's going to influence these trucks and drivers' racing styles moving forward. As you take a look at our schedule, we are back to a full week for ourselves on Monday night. ISRC Truck Series, we just concluded here this evening with Nick Crawford's win and sweeping the round of 12. Tuesday nights, if you're looking to get a league booked, hey, message us on Facebook or on Twitter to see if we can book you on our Tuesday nights. Wednesday, we find ourselves with WSSR, incredible racing action, and honestly, we're looking for a historic night for the WSSR this upcoming Wednesday as the Cup Series heads to Martinsville. And then Thursday, we're back after a 2-week off break for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. We are back to the Open Setup League with 3 races left in the season. The championship is between the teammates. You don't want to miss the incredible racing on Thursday nights, because that championship is wide open. But Zach, I got to say, these next 2 races coming up, I am excited, but also terrified of what we're going to be seeing on Wednesday, and excited for Thursday.
I'm excited for Thursday. I'm taking part in the racing, of course, on Wednesdays, and I don't know how much racing we're going to get to necessarily do, but it'll be 200 laps. That's for sure. Well, I ain't gonna say 200 laps for sure, because we could add some extra on there, of course, with some yellow flags. But we do plan to break records, and we'll see if that goes to fruition. Because, yeah, I think we might see a giant field of carnage.
Last 2 weeks, we've seen 43 drivers show up. Well, technically, first race we had more than 43, but we've had a 43 car grid. Will we have 3 in a row for WSSR this Wednesday? You do not want to miss, as it is going to be some great racing action. But for tonight, I want to say thank you to everyone that joined with us and was chatting and trying to get the information of how the points were looking live. We highly enjoy getting to read your comments, and it helps us to inform you, the audience members, of what we need to bring up maybe a little bit more during the broadcast. So we love it when you comment. Also, remember to hit that like button if you're enjoying our coverage of all these races throughout the week. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. But for tonight, congratulations, the 74 of Nick Crawford running the Pride Machine here tonight for equality. Nick Crawford wins, sweeps the round of 12, and is going to have a 10-point buffer going into the next round of the round of 8. Thank you for joining with us. As for myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, for Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining with us. It was a blast to watch these road course drivers put on a fantastic show. But we will see you later on. Next week's going to be more racing action with the trucks at Legacy, Texas. But if you can't wait until next Monday, we'll see you Wednesday night as the WSSR hit the short course, Martinsville. It's going to be a night you don't want to miss. We'll see you then for our next Freaky Fast broadcast.